Good afternoon. This is 5.2, Part A. Question A, according to Emerson and Smith, what is a racialized society? Basically, a racialized society is a society where the institutions itself are embedded with racism. It's kind of covert. Most whites do not see this institutionalized racism. So the author calls that racialization, and America definitely suffers from this because there are many institutions, the federal government, um, churches that still have vestiges of racism embedded deeply within these systems. And many do not realize it. Many whites do not see it that way, and they don't see it at all. And but they're there. Also, B, in what ways is claiming color blindness counterproductive? Color blindness is very counterproductive. One, it tells a person, I don't see you as you are. And being made in the image of God, uh, that's a part of God that you are not acknowledging. Also, if I were colorblind, it would be a physical defect. Um, it would be something that I need to overcome. So, and lastly, it's not truthful because we do see the other race of people. So I think we have to be honest that we do see it. And even it's not productive because it doesn't, I think if you own up to, I think the book talked about this, Emerson and Smith, if you own up to it, then you have to do something about it. So in the book where the young lady Mary, her sister married African American, even though her father did not speak to her, she didn't see that as part of the problem. It seemed like she kind of blamed the African Americans. It's quite interesting that she had a college degree, but she was able to stay home, and her husband worked. Most African Americans I know, if both parties have a college degree, both parties are going to work. So to say you're colorblind, you don't see color, you don't see racism, you only see the individual. You don't validate people's experiences. You minimize them in that instance. C, in your opinion, why does talking about race and ethnicity often become difficult and volatile? Why is it difficult or not for you to talk about race and ethnicity personally? It is not difficult for me to talk about race. I have no problem. Probably could talk about it a little bit too much. But I think it's a very interesting topic. I actually think it's interesting that there's so much interest in sites like Ancestry and people wanting to find their background and their so when you talk about it in that way, I think it does make people uncomfortable because if people think you're mixed with a variety of races, how did that happen? So it brings up some uncomfortable truths. No one wants to be seen as being racist. So if I say I see your color, I think people feel like then they judge you for certain things by their color, by color. No one wants to be seen as being unkind, unfair. It can be very shaming to point out something that may be a little racist. So people kind of reject that. So it makes people feel uncomfortable. So, and then I think, as in the book, people always brought up the issue of slavery. Well, slavery ended. I didn't own a slave, but they failed to see the continued institutions, as I said. Um, I don't know if I said this on this time, but a friend of mine's, parents were sharecroppers. My girlfriend remembers sharecropping at a very young age. That was almost like slavery continued. Um, and many people didn't even break free from that system till the 1960s. So it's very uncomfortable for many people to realize they may have profited from a system such as that that's so heinous. According to Emerson Smith, in what way does the organization and structure of the church contribute to the problem of racialization? The church contributes to it because the church is the evangelical church is very individualistic. They have very free will, individualistic tendencies, as well as relationship. They believe strongly in if you have a relationship with Christ, that's going to solve everything. Also, they're anti-structural, which means that they don't see the problems of the structure of the organizations, the social organizations, the government, as anything being a problem. So these factors in their toolkit don't allow them to see the problem of racism, which means the church, which is which God put on the earth to be His body, is not being effective as the body of Christ because it's not able to right some of the wrongs or even call attention to some of the wrongs. So that's the end of part 1.